All right, welcome, my bows and bow ties. This is the Black Opinionated Woman, also known as a bow. I just wanted to show this background because I thought it was pretty. Okay, let me go ahead and take that off. All right, so look, we're going to be talking to my avatar again today because it is 4:53 a.m. I am in a bonnet and so am I PJs. So before I get myself together, for work, I figured let me just go ahead and pop this off real quick. So if you're new to my channel, I talk about three things. I talk about Black women, I talk about Black culture, and I talk about anything related to middle age. That includes um, parenting, includes career, it includes health, it includes anything related to middle age. If I sound crazy, it's because I haven't showered yet and I haven't had my coffee. All right, let me go ahead. I actually put up my talking points today. So, this is what we're going to talk about. Well, that's my first point. Let's talk with the title. All right, so look, I'm probably going to make some people mad. You're allowed to be in your feelings. It's okay. That's why I am the opinionated woman. Okay, this is a channel where I am free to dissent. I don't have to go along with what everybody wants me to go along with. But I like to think that many of the things that I'm talking about is rooted in common sense and sometimes even factual. All right, so look, y'all just gonna have to be mad. But I just want to talk about why people who are childless love having opinions on child rearing. All right, let me just get right on into it. I'm just trying to figure out why you think it's okay to give out advice. It's not asked. So I'm like, they just like to give out a lot of unsolicited advice. Doesn't mean the advice is bad, it just means it's unsolicited. You really should just stop. Because the way I look at it is this: it is so easy to give out advice when you're not doing a day in and day out of child rearing. It reminds me of women when they are single talk about what they will and won't do if a man did X, Y, and Z, especially to a married woman. Now, I can say this because I used to say a lot of stuff when I was single, especially in my mid 20s. But when I get married, this isn't going to happen. I had a whole lot of opinions. And, it wasn't that I was stupid, but I wasn't experienced at being married. I did not know how much compromise and grace I would show my children, my spouse. I didn't know that until I was in it. See, I was operating from a point of view that may or may not have been, I think it was very logical. But see, there's layers to that, there's nuance to that. So for the people out there who don't have children, and let me preface that by saying, if you're not raising them day in and day out, I'm not talking about them coming over some days. Nope. I'm talking about every day. Shut up. All the way, just mind your business. You don't need to be talking. It's a lot easier when you're outside of the situation to say what you will and won't do. I think about the parents who maybe whose child has gone through some things, and people on the outside want to judge parents, and they don't know what these parents are doing. They don't know. I'm just so sick and tired of all these people getting up on their high horses. I'm like, shut up. All right, let's get to the second point. Everybody talks about what they would and won't do. You don't know anything. Shut up. You don't know what you're going to do until you're in it. Like what I was saying like a few seconds ago. Parents, there are parents who go through things. You can do the best you can to raise your children. And then, maybe the child just gets a wild hair. It could be anything. It could be mental health issues. It could be anything. And the child does like a bonehead thing. And then all these people without children have a lot of opinions. Well, actually, even people with children. But until you are in that situation, you don't know what parents may have been dealing with. Maybe they had their child in counseling. Maybe the child was being bullied. Maybe the child just succumbed to peer pressure. It could be anything. It could be anything. But it's just that I'm just seeing this almost like this trend of, I just feel like people always talk about what they will and won't do. You don't know what you'll do. Shut up. I think my favorite one is, so this is so petty. This is like all the way petty. I think when people talk to parents, black people, we tend to be really, really tough about this. You don't know what it is when a young mother has a child and her child wants to suck on a pacifier. They're like, I won't be letting my child suck on this past 2.5 nanoseconds. I'm like, you don't know what you're going to do. I actually never actually said that, believe it or not. I used to say other stuff, but I never said that about the pacifier. Every child is different. Now, I've been really fortunate that my children were off pacifiers before they were one. Probably was too gangster of a mom. I was just really concerned that maybe it was going to make their teeth weird. I don't know. But the point is, there are some kids maybe who are colicky, or maybe who have some sort of issues going on, and it, for whatever reasons, it soothes the child. And a lot of people want to get out here and judge all these parents. I'm like, shut up. This is just a moment in time. That child is not going to be sucking on a pacifier at 18 years old. But see, people want to judge all these parents. Everyone wants to talk about what they will and won't do. I'm like, excuse me, Tasha, Becky, Sarita, Amy, whatever. I'm just thinking of names, right? You know, have you ever had any children before? Do you know what it's like getting up day in and day out with your newborn baby and trying to put this baby to sleep? Maybe this is a colicky baby. It could be anything. But I feel like all these people with no children want to tell people how to raise children. They have advice. Don't yell at this child. I'm like, you know what? What you missed were the other 7 times where I extended grace. And now I need to yell and threaten to snatch one of these 9 lives. They're like, don't yell. I'm like, mind your business. Mind your business. Now, I don't yell at my kids a whole lot, but if I want to, I will, because it's my business and it's my children. As long as I'm not abusing my children, and abuse is more than physical, it's emotional, it's all kinds of stuff. But I just kind of feel like you've got these people out here with a whole lot of opinions. Let me go ahead and bring up my this was my thumbnail. If you had selected this video, this is the thumbnail you selected. We have opinions. Now, I try to make a couple of little shady thumbnails occasionally, just because, um, I just find that when you're younger, or not even younger, it's the people who don't have children who think that they know more than the parents who are raising the children day in and day out. Now, let me just say this. I am not talking about the edge case where maybe there is a single person who sees that maybe a sibling or a friend has gone off the deep end and is being a completely bad parent, right? I'm not talking about someone who's got maybe like emotional issues, substance abuse issues, just accountability issues. We're not talking about the edge case, okay? Because there's common sense. I'm talking about people who want to tell regular old regular parents how to raise their kids. Shut up. Go get yourself some business. You need to get yourself some business. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go into my third point. We're going to talk about this judging thing. Oops. Oh, let me bring this back. Let me bring this back. What am I doing? All right. People love judging parents. I'm like, I'm looking at what some of these people have to say about some of these parents. And, I was just going through several scenarios in my mind. I'm not going to go through exactly what happened with some of these other scenarios because I don't know who's listening to this. And I don't want to put anybody's business out there. But it's so interesting where people always want to question parents about their children. Like, I can't believe your child did that. And they don't know that these are upstanding people doing everything they can. I mean, these are just some scenarios from years back that I'm thinking of, like maybe 10, 15. And the child just, I don't know, dummied up. And I just feel like we've got all these people out here who want to judge. And I'm like, whatever happened to extending grace? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of yip yapping, especially when you have no experience. Let me tell you something. And I have women up here because I'm a woman. And, in general, women tend to be the ones to do most of the child rearing. It doesn't mean that men don't. Don't start trying to come at me with some crazy, like, well, men raise children too. Of course they do. Okay. So, anyway, I just want to say this. Women who don't have children, it is so easy to speak as if you're going to have the most patience. You should be patient until you are doing the day in and day out of getting up, making sure making sure children are groomed. Okay, that means hygiene, grooming, etc. Making sure they're emotionally stable, making sure they're fed, actually engaging with your children. And then all those things on top of doing the same thing for yourself and running a household. Miss me. I'm trying not to cuss, but I need you to shut up because the only thing you have to care about is yourself. You go to bed when you want. You can decide not to cook when you want. Okay? You can decide for dinner, maybe I just want a muffin, a piece of toast, maybe some cereal. You don't even have to have a balanced meal. But you want to judge parents on maybe the fact that, for example, when parents put their kids to bed early, wow, your kid's going to bed early. I'm like, do you know what it's like when they don't have at least 10, 12 hours of sleep? I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about the things that we will and will not let our children watch on TV. You know, there's things that we like to safeguard our children against. We don't like to have certain images in their mind before they go to bed. There are certain things that they don't need to see. I even went so far as to say, I don't like my children. I watch certain shows. There are certain shows that my children don't need to see, especially if there's anything that's going to involve nudity, um, a lot of sexuality, homosexuality. I can't sit here and preach about being a Christian and then putting these images in front of them. What adults do in their adult life is separate from what I'm teaching my children. Now, many of you are not going to like hearing that. You are allowed to not like the fact that I don't want to teach my children anything where I'm putting those images in their face. They will see that enough as they get older. Heck, I don't even want to put heterosexual images in their face. They see it just in the interactions with my husband, but they don't need to see other stuff. They don't need to see extreme violence on TV. Okay? So I'm going to need these people out here who got all these opinions to shut up. Mind your business. And then I want to lean in on this one for a second. Now, look, if you are a friend or not who sometimes watches, you know, kids or you're around them a lot, that is not the same thing as raising a child. I want to make this clear. Those situations don't count. They don't. You don't have to like it. The only time it counts is when those kids are living with you day in and day out, that's when you can have opinions on things. Because see, now you get it. See, now you recognize, whoa, I have to be consistent for my kids because it does something for them, in a variety of ways. And for me, because I have to still survive too. It's a survival out here, you know. But see, when you're doing it day in and day out, you notice the nuances of bedtimes. You notice the nuances of what you're feeding your kids. You notice the nuances of how often they are engaged in any physical activity. You notice the nuances of what happens when they hang out around certain children, right? Maybe they learn too much. Maybe other children are aggressive. Maybe they're not. Maybe your children are the aggressive ones. You learn the nuances of what it's like when they're going to school and how they respond to other people who are in positions of authority. But see, I get so sick and tired of all these people out here who don't have any kids. They got a whole lot of opinions on what you should and shouldn't do. Well, if I were in your situation, I'm like, but you're not. Let me tell you how, when I had my 500 children, when I had my first child, I started off with um, I would feed my children only organic food, and I'm making all this food. Like, I had all of these wonderful ideas until I had my 500 children. And for the most part, I did feed them organic, but I also realized I'm like, this is a racket. This is a racket. If I was out and about and I had to pick up some extra baby food that I like, so like I would do little things, like I would make certain things for my kids, but I also had no issues with buying food from the store. It was so much easier. And then I recognized how much cheaper it was when I bought the regular versus an organic. If I'm out and about with family, or let's say I wanted to do something and I just pick up some extra food that was for sale or whatever, or I'm at an event or whatever it was, I don't know. Let's say I went and grabbed a couple of things from the store. I didn't care if it was organic or not. I cared that it was healthy. I didn't lose my mind. I'm like, oh my goodness, this non organic sweet potatoes and green beans, baby food. Oh my, no, no. You want to know what's interesting? Someone made a comment one time about my children's clothes. um, my kids do have nice things, but most of the stuff that they wear, well, as they're getting older, it's different. But they still get stuff from like Target, Old Navy. Um, Heck, we have a Walmart nearby. Occasionally, I'll go buy some leggings for my daughter to wear, so when she's going to practice or something for lacrosse or whatever. And I know someone made the comment years ago, I noticed that your children aren't rocking all the latest gear. Now they do have some nice stuff, but I'm sitting here thinking like, that's what you notice about my kids? I'm like, my kids go to good schools. We save our money so that we can expose our children. Our money doesn't go into making sure they have $200 pair of Jordans. It goes into ensuring that they know how to get on a plane. My kids know how to travel. They know what it's like to sleep in hotels and go to islands and fly around the world. That's what we put our money into. We don't put our money into the most expensive pair of shoes. We put our money into education experience. We put our money into traveling, world-class education. Go somewhere, see something, try different food. Now, I don't want to sound tone deaf, but let me tell you something. When people were like asking me questions, I'm like, are you serious right now? Because I know when it's time for us to get out of here, my kids know what it's like to have a passport. They know that when it's travel day, all of them know, charge up your stuff, don't bother me, get your devices, get all your charging mechanisms. Everybody has a book bag, grab a book and grab a sweatshirt for the plane. They know. It's like little ducks. Everyone has a backpack. They have all the things that they need. If you need a snack, put your snack in there. But whatever it is, you're old enough to take care of things yourself. Don't bother me. This is a vacation for me too. So there's six of us sitting at the airport. We have our own situation going on. You got all the things that you need. They know what they need. They have their plane tickets. They know how to get to their seats. They know exactly what to do. I say this because I felt like I was being judged on the fact that I was buying clothes that didn't like have Nike stamped all over it, or Under Armour or Adidas. That's the European way of saying Adidas. Stamped all over. I mean, they did have it, but the point was it wasn't like the latest version, right? Because my kids go outside and play every day when the weather permits, if they're not at their organized sports activity. My children aren't perfect. But I just kind of felt like you're literally coming at me because my children aren't rocking 200 pair of Jordans. Do they have Jordans and Air Force Ones, all that crap? Yes, they do. But the point I'm making is a lot of stuff they wear is just regular old regular stuff. Look, I'm not teaching my kids to be labeled. But the point I'm getting at is people who don't have children have a whole lot of opinions on how you need to raise your child. Some of the things that people say, I'm like, you need to go sit down somewhere. And just because you're a super nice auntie has nothing to do with raising children. Day in, day out. Phone calls because your child done popped off and said something slick at school because somebody else said something slick. Yeah, my kids are one for that one. Yeah. So getting the constant phone calls because somebody doesn't know how to shut up in class. Someone threatened somebody to say snitches get stitches because they were told that, they were being unsafe on the jungle gym or whatever it was, like all kinds of stupid stuff. It's the day in and day out of making sure they eat. It's the day in and day out of making sure you're fussing at them. Didn't I say go get a shower? You know what time we get our showers. It's the day in and day out of, let me check that, go back, check that answer again. Check it again. No, you don't know more than me. Okay? I have forgotten more than you already know. The answer is wrong. It's the day in and day out of, why does this room look like this? We just had this house cleaned. Why does this room look like this? It's the day in and day out of, you know what day is laundry day? Go take your basket down there and do it yourself because I don't work for you. It's the day in and day out of engaging, finding out where their head is. That gets exhausting. And then you still got to run a house. And oh, by the way, I still have to engage with my husband. So when I listen to people run their mouth, I'm like, you can miss me. Please stop talking. Stop talking. Well, this is what I would do. I'm like, you don't know what you would do. Well, why is she walking around with this, that, and the other? It could be something random, not necessarily at me, but I would listen to people. I'm like, you sound so dumb. You don't know. You don't know how you would handle anything in a marriage. Fortunately, we have not had to deal with infidelity, but you never know how you're going to handle things. I would never deal with this. And if he did this and he did that, I'm like, you don't have a relationship that's going to hold water right now. You're enjoying your single life as you should. But what you can't do is walk around telling people how they need to raise their kids. Focus on yourself and let people raise their kids unless they're doing something that's harmful, physically, emotionally, etc. Right? But in general, if you see a mother who's walking around with a 1-year-old who's got a pacifier, mind your business. Mind your business. That's what you want to fall on your sword on? That child is going to be on that pacifier until that parent gets tired of that child being on a pacifier. I can pretty much guarantee that the child is not going to be on a pacifier at age 18. Anyway, I just had to just get that out there. I'm like, I don't know why there's people with all these opinions out here. I'm like, go get yourself some business. Now, look, y'all can be mad at me. I'm like the auntie now because I'll just take on the full on auntie role. But I'm like, mind your business. Mind it. When you start having your own children, or even raising children, when you're raising children, then you'll get it. Because you're constantly concerned and thinking about their well-being. That in itself is exhausting. And then you're going to find things like, what can I do to make my life easier? It may mean that, you know what? This child needs to go to bed an hour earlier so I can get some peace and maybe take care of things around the house. And also the child gets extra rest. It could be anything. It could be falling asleep to music. It could be a nightlight. Who knows? Mind your business. All right. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, all right, look, these are just my opinions. Hopefully you liked what I had to say. If you didn't like it, it's okay too. I get it. You're not gonna like everything I have to say. But go ahead and hit that like button anyway. Hit the like button because I'm likable. All right. So yeah, sorry I had to, give some avatar vibes here. I don't like coming on in a bonnet. So hopefully the next time I put out a video, I'll be ready. I'll be bonnetless. But all right. Look, let me get out of here. Black opinionated woman out.